One of the great mysteries to me is how Harper has been able to get that reputation as being a good manager of the economy when all the facts, all the evidence points the other way. It is true that Canada has weathered the recession better than anybody else, but I'd say that that was despite Stephen Harper. That was on the coattails of the proper decisions that had been made by Chrétien and Martin over their period in government. I remember when there was a lot of pressure. But first I should point out that one of the reasons that we weathered the recession and didn't go as deep a trough as the US or Britain or Iceland as we've seen is that we have a stable banking regime in Canada. We have good regulations that protects the investors, protects the people who have savings in the banks. And one of the things that Harper was always arguing for as an opposition member was deregulation of the banks. Let the private sector decide. That's what happened in the US, and we saw what happened there. He said, let the markets decide. There's no need for Canadian regulations. Now he goes around the world and talks about our success in regulations in the banking and financial structure. But that's what he was against. That's what he ran against. He ran on dismantling on those supports and all those safety nets. And so he's been a benefit of what he hated the most. The other thing is that the recession itself, I remember in the 2008 election when I was talking about the recession, when I was pointing how our markets are, where we're selling our fish products, our fur products, our wood products, everything in the US market, that the US were in recession and there was no way we could avoid a recession. But Harper was saying everything is fine. Well, there's no recession in Canada. There can't be. There is balanced budgets. When we knew it was not true. We knew Canada was in recession. We knew that we were heading towards deficits. And he campaigned saying that it wasn't true. Shortly thereafter, he had to run to the Governor General with his tail between his legs to prorogue Parliament because the House was going to vote non-confidence. And then he came back, and yes, he invested at that time because he was forced to by the opposition parties. He invested in the economy in Canada. And now he spent himself hundreds of millions of dollars touting his good decisions, saying why Canadians should vote for him, using Canada's Canadians' money to tell them what a good job he's done. He's even gone so far as telling bureaucrats to refer to the government not as the government of Canada, as it's been done for over 135 years, but as the Harper government. And he's done other decisions that exactly the opposite of what he campaigned on. You may remember that he campaigned in 2006 saying that he would not touch the income trust. But within a few months he dismantled the income trust, left them in the real estate sector, but where he was having support, but took them out of all other sectors. And perhaps there was a problem with income trust, but fixed the problem. There was some areas of the economy where every economist in Canada tells us that income trust had some value. So I think it's difficult to explain why he would be, see himself as a good custodian of the economy. We've got record deficits, huge deficits, bigger than Brian Mulroney's, that Chrétien and Martin had to repair. And he's given away a lot of revenue to the federal government to appease Quebec and Ontario. You may remember from his first budgets. Billions and billions and billions of dollars went to transfers based per capita, completely per capita on the health and social transfers. Complete disadvantage to Nova Scotia. He cut the GST, true, he did cut the GST. It went in Nova Scotia from 15 to 13, but we're back at 15. We're paying 15%, and it's part of $12 billion of the deficit is due to that. By cutting the GST and at the same time cutting the transfer to Nova Scotia, there's no way that the provincial government could not go get that 2 cents. So I find that very difficult to see how he could possibly considered as a good custodian of the economy. I can only imagine what he would do, the havoc he would have dealt to wreaked in our economy had he had a majority government. Number one, he would have dismantled the banking structure and the safety nets around the financial institutions, and we would have been probably in worse position than the United States.